Welcome back to What's the Obsession, covering the breaking news in the Delphi murder case. On October 28th, 2022, an arrest was finally made in the Delphi murder case after over 5 years. Currently, 50-year-old Richard Allen is in custody at the Carroll County Jail. We pray that this arrest is the beginning of allowing Abby and Libby to finally be at peace. This video from late spring 2022 details some of the disturbing facts of the crime scene as told in a leaked document. In this video, there are highlights from 2 different newscasts giving us some different perspectives on the disturbing facts of this case and the crime scene. Take a listen, guys. Please comment. Let us know what you think. We all want to know what you think.
8 at 5 starts now.
We begin at 5 o'clock with stunning new revelations in the Delphi murders. It's a story we first broke for you on TV and online this morning.
ITMate has obtained court documents that, for the first time, publicly describe the scene where those murders took place. What was taken from the scene and a potential early suspect in the case, ITMate's Demi Johnson, has been following the story from day one. Demi, this document, very powerful.
Yeah, that's right, Phil and Alexis. It's this 9-page request for a search warrant filed March 17th of 2017. Now, that's a little more than a month after Libby German and Abby Williams were found murdered in Delphi. This disturbing document, for the first time, gives us an investigator's description of the crime scene and what the suspect may have taken with him.
ITMate obtained the request for the search warrant from the Murder Sheet podcast, the same group that first published the interview transcript of Anthony Schott's suspect, Kegan Kline. ITMate has confirmed the document is authentic. The document, written by an FBI agent, describes what investigators found when they discovered the bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German on February 14th. The agent writes a large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene. Because of the nature of the victim's wounds, it is nearly certain the perpetrator of the crime would have gotten blood on his person or clothing. Authorities also found that 2 articles of clothing from one of the girls was missing from the crime scene, while the rest of their clothing was recovered. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. The agent goes on to say, based upon my training and experience, it is common for perpetrators of this type of crime to take a souvenir or in some fashion memorialize the crime scene. The agent also references the video on Libby's phone, confirming it was 43 seconds long. Up until now, only a few seconds have been made public. It's this short audio clip where you hear the suspect talking to the girls. The agent also confirms the girls were being followed by the suspect on the Monon High Bridge Trail. The agent also says there were no visible signs of a struggle or fight. The search warrant is for the property of Ronald Logan, who owned the land where the 2 girls were found dead. You see him here in this video shot by Wish TV in 2017, just days after the girls were murdered. It describes his activity the day the girls went missing. The agent says Logan claimed someone drove him to an aquarium store in Lafayette on the afternoon of February 13th, at the time the girls disappeared. But the agent says these statements were found to be factually false and intentionally designed to deceive law enforcement officers. The agent says Logan contacted his cousin and asked him to tell that story before the bodies were found. Based on investigators' experience, it is reasonable to believe that the creation of an alibi prior to the discovery of a crime indicates culpability or knowledge of the crime. I asked the founders of the Murder Sheet podcast why they believe this new information is significant.
This is a situation where you've had a lot of speculation or rumors going around that sounded pretty realistic or perhaps, sounded like well thought out. But it's another thing to sort of see it just in black and white on a court document.
I feel it is really important to get actual court documents where people are actually have to swear an oath that what they're saying is actually true.
Now let's tell you a little bit more about Ronald Logan. It's important to note Logan is dead. He died in 2020. He was charged with a probation violation for driving with a suspended license. He was never formally named a suspect and never charged in the Delphi murders. But in this document, the FBI agent says Logan's voice is not inconsistent with that of the person in the video. Now, we showed you that video of Ronald Logan in this story, and in searching through our archives, I found this interview with him shortly after the girls were found. Here's what he told us about the day the girls went missing.
Monday afternoon, I was in Lafayette Aquarium World getting tropical fish for my aquarium. So when I came home, one of the neighbors stopped and asked permission to come back here and look for the missing girls, and that's the first time I knew anything about it. So I fooled with my tropical fish the whole time that the search was going on Monday night, but then they didn't find them until Tuesday at around noon or 1 or whatever it was.
Stunning new details, Demi. I know you reached out to the girls' family. They had no comment. But what about state police and the FBI?
So I did just receive a statement from State Police Superintendent Doug Carter. He tells me, I would like to remind the public that this is an active and ongoing investigation, and we will do everything we can to protect its integrity and to not try it in court of public opinion. We cannot publicly convict someone based on a single document which was not released by investigators. Our profession will not allow us to speak on what we think, but to always speak about what we know. This is especially important with the heinous murders of Abby and Libby. We must continue to be mindful of their surviving family members and the entire Carroll County community who are affected by this investigation. Now, the FBI also sent a statement saying it does not have any more details to share at this time.
Okay. You'll stay on top of it as you have been for the past few years. Demi, thank you very much. Ronald Logan. Yeah, he's now the second person that we know police searched and questioned in the case. Demi and I, Team 8, first told you about another person, Kegan Kline, back in December of 2021. He's the man in jail right now accused of creating and using the Anthony Shots profile to get hundreds of sexual pictures and videos from underage girls. That's the same account state police said that they found while investigating the Delphi murders. Then in March, with the help of the Murder Sheet podcast, we were able to tell you about Kline's interview transcript with police. It revealed the Anthony Shots profile did communicate with the girls the day that they were killed. Now, if you missed any part of this story, we've posted the documents online at wishtv.com. Just grab your phone, scan the QR code on that screen. That will take you to our website and click on the As Seen on Wish TV.
So here to help break down what happens next in this case, let's bring in former FBI agent Doug Coons. Doug, thank you so much for being here with us. I know you have spent a lot of time examining this case. Did you see this coming?
This last year, I would say yes. Prior to that, it seemed to be getting pretty stale. Hats off to these guys, the state police, the locals, the FBI. Everybody that's been involved with this, they never gave up. The diligence and just the sheer amount of tips that were covered, the hard work involved, hats off to those guys.
You know, and as we said, this is a case we've been following closely here at News Nation. I know I've personally been interested in this. Never heard this name before, though. Had Richard Allen ever been on your radar? Because I know his name was never mentioned publicly before.
It had not been on my radar or anyone's that I know of. Now, I've never been personally involved in this investigation as law enforcement. And when I retired about 4 years ago, we continued to get some tips into my private agency that we would pass on. But no, that's not a name I've ever heard come up.
Well, so Doug, Kelly kind of walked us through the ins and outs of this case now more than 5 years in the making. This arrest coming now. Why now?
Some piece of information's come in, some piece of evidence has been found. I can only speculate like everybody else, but it seems to be after the arrest of this Kegan Kline that it seemed like they were kind of homing in on something. So I don't know if he's even still connected or not. I hate to speculate, but it just seems like there's probably some sort of connection.
Yeah, and I do want to ask you more about Kegan, but, it's possible that Richard Allen, who, again, obviously has not been found guilty, hasn't even been named officially by police, but, he's now under arrest, could have been on the run at this point for more than 5 years, living among the community. Did authorities maybe know more than they let on?
Oh, I'm sure they knew more than they made public. When you're investigating something like this, the only time you're going to release information to the public is if you think it can help you resolve this case. And I know everybody wants to know, but there's just no good reason to put out information unless you think it will help bring in tips or spark somebody's memory or something like that. So most likely they've been keeping some bits of information close to the vest, and it's now culminated in this arrest.
And of course, that makes sense. You know, and we have heard of these recent FBI searches, potential suspects investigators have been looking into. As Kelly mentioned, this man, Kegan Kline, he has been a focus of the investigation. I want to play for you what Doug Carter with Indiana State Police said about Kline to our Rich McHugh back in February.
Did Abby and Libby communicate with this profile?
I'm not going to talk about that, but I am going to say that we learned a tremendous amount through that particular investigative course.
What can you tell me about this man who has been arrested, the creator of this profile, Kegan Kline?
All I can say about Kegan is that entire issue and the entire release has allowed us to glean significant investigative leads.
All right, so Doug, with your expertise, help us read between the lines here. Is there more going on? Could Kline still be connected?
It's possible. Just speculating, of course, here, but it seems likely to me based on my professional experience. You know, he's got his own issues with the charges that he's facing, and perhaps he provided the information that led to this arrest and could be given some credit. You know, it's hard to say, but I would think it's very likely.
Yes, so many people interested in this case, and it looks like now finally moving forward. Former FBI agent Doug Coons, we thank you, sir, so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.